Everybody told me this is a bad idea. But then I started thinking, in the commercial space, like the large, wide format DTF printers, the quality of the consumables you use, the ink and the film, make a dramatic difference in how well the machine functions. If you have a poor ink, you're gonna often be having clogs chasing bad nozzle checks. And if you use really good consumables, the machine just works really well. So I was wondering, if I put the best DTF ink on the market right now in an Epson ET-8550, will it work? We're gonna find that out. Now, today's video, we're just simply gonna show you how to convert an ET-8550 to print with DTF. Now, there are multiple ways to do it, but we're gonna show you the quickest and fastest way with this printer today. And then in a later video, provided this thing survives, I'll show you some other options to upgrade your converted printer. So we're gonna use the Color Prime Chroma ink, their standard DTF white, and if you've watched my videos for any length of time, you know I absolutely love this ink. It gives some of the best colors, and it behaves super, super nice in my DTF printer back there. But I don't know what's gonna happen when we put it in this thing. And we're gonna use 13 by 19 sheets of Color Prime Quick Glide film. Let's get into it. All right, let's open the box. I don't think I've ever done an unboxing on this channel. Alrighty, we got software and a bag. Manuals for later, maybe. Some heft to this. So this is probably gonna be our ink, which we're not gonna use, and our power supply. Yep, there's our power cord, and we have our bottles of ink. Now, we are not going to use this ink, obviously, this is not DTF ink, but we do want to use the bottles to fill up the ink tanks on the actual printer. So we're gonna deal with that in a minute. All right, and here we go. And here we have our printer. Now, the first thing you're gonna have to do is there's a bunch of blue tape all over this thing. So we're literally just gonna take off all of the blue tape. Turn it around, there we go. Piece of tape here in the middle with some foam. Piece of tape here on the print head. And I think that's all of the tape. Whoops, I missed a piece of blue tape. Actually, 2 pieces of blue tape. Did I miss more? Oh, I did miss more. Now these are some trays for like printing on other types of material. We're just pulling all that bottom stuff out. Now, one of the reasons this printer works so well to convert to DTF is it's a photo printer, so it's high resolution, but it also has multiple ink tanks. So we have BK black, PB, which I believe is picture black, if you're photo printing, cyan, yellow, magenta, and gray. What we're gonna basically do is use a couple of these channels for white and the rest CMYK. Now, I've watched quite a few videos on how to convert these machines. I've watched quite a few from Highly Flavored and That Crazy Person, both really fun channels to check out, but they do a lot of converting of the machines, and so that's where I learned a lot of the tips and tricks I'm gonna show you guys today. But one of the things I'm gonna do is I want the 2 white channels to run together in the actual printhead. So I'm going to make BK and PB are white, and then I'm gonna make the gray are black. I can actually choose kind of any ink order in the RIP software. We'll show you how to do that later, but I'm gonna go empty out these ink containers and we're gonna fill them up with our Color Prime Chroma. All right, I have my little bottles cleaned out. Now, you're not gonna get it completely out of like the cap top part of it, but getting the vast majority out of it should be sufficient. I did make sure this was fully rinsed out, but these little nozzles are kind of a little bit tricky. So let's grab our white first. You always wanna make sure you agitate the white a little bit, because if it's been sitting like this, the sediment will kind of like collect here at the bottom. So you just wanna make sure it's mixed nice and thoroughly. Don't go crazy with it, just a simple rocking back and forth motion. Rolling the bottle will do a sufficient job of mixing everything together. I also recommend having some paper towels on hand and wear rubber gloves, because I don't care how good you are, you're gonna get ink on your hands. So let's use our syringe with a little tube on the end of it to pull up some of that white ink. And let's fill fill this one up. Now, one thing I will tell you is that the bottle gets slightly tinted by the original ink that's in there. So it's gonna look kind of gnarly from the outside, but it stayed pretty white in there, so we should be good to go. Now, if you're not going to use a different syringe for each color, you just wanna make sure you rinse it out really good with some distilled water. All right, all of our DTF Chroma ink is in the containers. Now, the way you fill them up is you flip these up and you fill each individual container. Now, I mentioned there are some other ways to upgrade this. There's something called a CISS, or a continuous ink supply system. That's what it stands for, where you can basically bypass these little tanks and have like an external tank. And like I said, if things go well with this, I might do an add-on video where we show how to do that. Another thing is this right here is your waste ink tank, basically. And it will fill up pretty quickly with the number of cleanings you do for DTF. There's an option to bypass this. I'm not going to do this today, but I will show you on another day. But the one thing, big thing you need to deal with is get rid of these rollers on the front here. Now, these rollers are used to help feed paper through the system, but they have these little teeth on them and they will leave spot marks and drag marks and just marks on your prints as they come out. So we actually need to remove that part. There are some videos that show how to adapt this so that you can use it to actually feed your DTF film all the way out. But for our video today, we're doing the quickest, easiest conversion. So these are the rollers right here, this bar right here. And it is possible to just simply pull it out and remove it. There's some snaps and clips on each side. But just so that we don't do any damage, I'm gonna remove a few of these parts so we can more easily access those rollers. The first screws that are gonna come out are actually right back here. And it's always recommended to use a screwdriver that has maybe a magnetic tip. It just helps keep these screws from coming out. We're actually gonna set these off to the side. Then you want to flip it around to the back, and on the back side there's a screw here and a screw here. Then we're going to flip it back around to the front and we're going to open up the lid. So to make sure you can move the carriage to remove everything, you need to plug in the printer just for a moment. You're going to hit the power button, and as soon as it starts moving, we're going to unplug it. There you go. Now we have a free moving carriage for getting the rest of this stuff out. We're gonna pull off this door, which just pulls up and then out. Then we want to remove the waste ink tank, which flips up right here, pull out. Then we have a bunch of screws to remove from the top here. And we have one here that is very small. You might need to use a smaller screwdriver for this one. Then we want to remove a screw here. And we're going to remove all of these screws. We also have a screw right here. Screw inside of here. Two screws here. And here. Screw down in here. Screw right here. There's also another screw on the front right here. You're also gonna wanna remove this top flap. You kind of just tilt it back and then lift it up and out of the way. It may give you a little bit of hassle, but just kind of wiggle it as you pull up and it will eventually find its way out. Now to remove the side panels, you're gonna pull this front end out here because you need to just get this lip to clear. And then you're gonna kind of push back, and it will be a little tight. You feel like you're gonna have to fight with it, but just tilt it out there and then kind of push toward the back and it will come out. It just is a little bit of a pain. So to get the front and side panels off, you gotta kind of start in the front. We're gonna start here at the bottom under the ink tanks, and we're gonna kind of pry it out a little bit. It kind of needs a little convincing. We're gonna lift up this top here to release that, and then we're gonna kind of push down here and kind of pull out from the bottom to release the bottom of this front panel. There it goes. And now you've kind of loosened this up, you've loosened this piece up. So now we're gonna work on finagling the side here, and it's gonna kind of come out like that. See how those kind of separated? Now on this, it's the same as the other side. We're gonna pull out here and then push back and pull a little bit back here, and it should release the side panel, just like that. Now we're gonna be careful with this front panel. We've got some wires hooked up down here. So we're gonna lift this piece out and then come over here to the side, and we're gonna remove this 4-wire plug here and these 2 ribbon cable plugs. And then the front comes off. Now we can see a little bit better this roller bar here. There's a little spring on the end here that we want to get off. So remove this screw right here. And then we're gonna very carefully remove this spring. So I'm just gonna try to dislodge it there from the bottom, and let's make sure it doesn't pop off and shoot and go away. There we go. So there it is right there. Now we're gonna lift this a little bit, and that's gonna give us a little more room to pull this out without damaging it, because like I said, we wanna use this later for another project. So I just lifted straight up and it came out, left that spring right there. It's pretty hard to see, but down in there you can see another one of those spring clips. Now we're gonna carefully lift the top off here. Whoops, we got one more screw. This one right here. Now we're gonna lift this off. In between these 2 hoses is a little screw. And once that releases, we've got way more room here to work, and we can pull this up, let the spring snap off of it so that we can use it another time. Slide the carriage back to home. Need 2 hands to do this. There we go. Now these little rollers on here that have little teeth are the reason you can't just leave this in here. So in another video, I'm gonna show you guys how to customize this. So you leave just a couple of the rollers and you're able to use more of the sheet when you feed it through. And now we just put it back together. Top back on here. Let's put this screw in. Now when we're putting the front back on, we kind of need to do it together with the black piece that goes here. And we also need to make sure that we connect our ribbon cables here. So you kind of got to do this all together. So we're just kind of stage stuff. So I'm gonna pull this drawer out a little bit to get out of the way. We're gonna go ahead and we're going to plug the ribbon cables back in. Luckily, the ribbon cables are 2 different sizes. and the 4-wire cable. There we go. So that's back in. Let's grab our top piece here, and we are gonna re-thread the wire through. Feeds up through there. Got our front panel wired up. Let's try to put this top piece kind of in first, and then we're gonna kind of get this piece over the lip there. The front kind of over the lip. There it goes. Got a little bit of something, you gotta get the hole over the top there, but that's all kind of back together. Bottom all snapped into place pretty nicely. Now let's try to get the side panel back on. And this we're probably gonna have to kind of do in stages. There we go. So we're gonna slide the front end in first, and then the rest of it should find its way back in. There we go. Snaps into place. Perfection. Okay, that piece is on. Now let's put back on this side piece. Similar function. We're gonna keep the front from going in right away. We're gonna kind of just put it on here, just in its general spot. And then we will kind of push it in and pull forward. There we go, and then the front just snaps into place. We should feel everything nice and tight in there. Excellent, and now let's just put back in all of our screws. So we've got a screw here on the front. One of the nice things is that if it is a black screw, it goes in the black panels. If it's a silver screw, it goes in the white panels. So that makes it real easy to know what goes where. So clip here. Smaller ones here. Our waste tank back in. Slide this in here and latch it in place. Then we have our 2 screws on the back. One right here and one right here. Then we have our 2 screws in the top, one right here, one right here. Then this back piece. Might have to finagle with it, might just have to punch it to get in place. All right, let's plug it in and let's power it on. So let's flip this up so we can see what's happening inside. All right, it's asking me for language, English. I'm gonna skip. It says continue setup without the app. I'm just gonna do that right now. Oops. Let's make sure it initializes properly. Now, one thing, it doesn't look like it came with a USB cord to hook it up to the computer. So you'll have to pick up one of those. Okay, looking good, making all the right sounds. Fabulous. The start here bundled with the printer. Oh, it's just information. When filling the ink, make sure you squeeze the bottle. Ink may splash. Also make sure to match the color of the ink bottles with the ink tank. Okay, so now it's asking us to fill up the ink tank. So flip this open and we're just gonna open these guys up. As we've already discussed, Our PB, our BK are our whites. So we're gonna stick it on here. And you're just gonna watch for it to fill up. You should see it right there, it's filling up. Looks like it's actually filling up without squeezing the bottle, so I'm just gonna let it do its thing. While that's doing, I'm gonna start filling up the black. Oh wait, I don't wanna screw that up. So I'm gonna say proceed. Okay, make sure the ink bottle BK, yep. Also, it's just making sure I'm doing each one of them. Okay, there we go. That's the first one, done. All right, let's load up PB, which is our second white. Yeah, it looks like they're filling up on their own, so I'm gonna do the black because it's over here away from the rest of them. Okay, PB is done. Black sounds like it's done. Yes, it is. Excellent. Done, done, done. Let's go cyan. Bottles are hard to squeeze, I gotta be honest with you. Okay. Probably use 3/4 of this little bottle to fill up the tank all the way. And our yellow. All right, they're all done. Let's hit proceed. Hold down OK for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, perfect. Make sure that all the color inks are filled up to the upper line on the ink tank. Select the start button to start ink charging. Do not load paper until initialization is complete. Okay, let's start that up. All right, well that's initializing. We're gonna look up the ET-8550 drivers for our Windows PC. And we're gonna download, we're gonna choose our operating system. I'm on Windows 11 here. Click go. Oh, there we go, got it downloaded. There we are, okay, what does the screen say? Oh, still says initializing. Keep waiting on that. Now for this lovely experiment, we're doing Color Prime Chroma ink, the Color Prime film, Color Prime powder, which are all DTF Station products. One of the things DTF Station is doing by sponsoring this video is they're also making the driver for this particular printer available in DigiRIP. So if you want to buy the full package to be able to do what I'm doing here today, just go to a DTF Station dealer, order the Color Prime Chroma ink, the Quick Glide film, the Flex powder, and DigiRIP as the RIP software to be able to run this printer. I'll make a list below this video in the description of all of the parts that you need and products that you need to successfully convert this over to the best color in DTF. All right, came back from finding a USB cable. Initialization is complete. Some ink is absorbed into the maintenance box. You may see some black parts on it, but it is normal. Proceed to the print adjustment. So there's probably some ink now in the waste container. They call it the maintenance box. Again, in a later video, provided this all works for a little while, I'll show you guys how to not use that and just use an external bottle so you don't fill that thing up. Align the printer to get the best print quality. Sure, let's adjust. Let's do that. Perform the print head nozzle check to check print quality. Okay, print. Local letter A size paper. So I need some paper. Okay, let's close this for a second. Lift this up. Oops. A couple more pieces of tape. We are gonna use the full size of this thing when we use our full 13 by 19 sheets. But for now, let's find some printer paper. Hey, could you bring me a couple pieces of printer paper?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you to my lovely wife for bringing me some paper. Now it says put A4 paper in. A4 paper is just slightly larger than 8.5 by 11. We're just gonna drop Some 8.5 by 11 in there. And yep, close. Print nozzle check. Does this thing open on its own? Yep, it does. Now, one thing we do have to add is a piece of cardboard or something to make sure it comes out perfectly flat, so nothing scrapes on the film and stuff, but we'll get it set up first before we worry about that. All right, we'll continue setting up our driver. I'll plug in the USB here, but I'll wait to plug it in the computer till after this first nozzle check is done. All right, well, I can see color nozzle checks. They look fantastic, but I can't see the white nozzle checks. And you know, I bet I would have more data on here, except that I used the black container for white. So just be aware that you may not be able to read some of this stuff because of the ink order that I chose for this. Hindsight being 2020, maybe I would separate the whites, but again, I can control that in the RIP software, what order things go in. All right, let's see. So it's asking if the checks were good, and they were good. So check the printed pattern and select. So I'm gonna select the good one. Align the print position to fix misalignment. You know what, we're gonna worry about the alignment later. I'm too excited, I wanna print something. Now it's asking if I wanna connect to Wi-Fi, and I don't. I don't wanna connect to Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, though it's really nice and convenient, is oftentimes not fast enough for RIP softwares. So I would not connect over Wi-Fi. But let's put one of our pieces of quick glide film in here. All right, so there's gonna be kind of two sides of it. The slightly shinier side is gonna be the side that you don't wanna print on. If you're ever wondering, you just kind of scratch a corner of it, and if it kind of comes off, then you know you've got the correct side for printing. I actually have two sheets here. So the back side won't scratch like the front side does. So that's the side you want facing forward when we load it in. Perfect. Now paper size, we want to change it to 13 by 19. Turn this around a bit. User defined, there we go. So we're gonna go, 12.95 is so 12.95 is technically the largest this printer recognizes, which is fine. 12.95, and we are 19 inches long. Okay, cool. Paper type, I believe we're going to use, let's just stick with plain paper and see what happens. Close, there we go. Okay, now we're connected via USB. There we go. Cool, and we'll just install everything, because mine as well. You never know, you might want to use it as a scanner if you want to scan something in and then turn it into DTF. All right, next it's requiring me to update the firmware on the printer. That happens sometimes, oftentimes. There we go, finish. Next, I'm not worried about a test page. So next you're gonna open up DigiRIP, and obviously this is not the first time I've opened this software. I've got a lot of printers in here because of my job, but you're gonna be prompted immediately to add a printer. I'm gonna go to Manage Devices, and we're gonna add the ET-8550 DTF V2. Do the V2. V2 allows you to set your ink order. V1 or the original one does not. So we're gonna hit next. We're gonna load in all the drivers for it. Hit hit next again. We're gonna set for our port, we're gonna set the USB port. Should say Epson ET-8550. There we go, perfect. And then you will have a queue appear. Mine's kind of hidden amongst the many other queues that I have. But you will find that ET-8550 queue. There it is. We're gonna hit install here. Once that's done being installed, I'm gonna move this one up to the top. That way it's easy to find. There it is, it was at the top. Awesome. Okay, now let's just load an image in here and see how this works. In a later video, I'm gonna go into more depth of like the full process, but we just wanna print a test image right now. And then you're gonna have some different print modes in here. For now, let's just pick some generic one. Color garment, sure, let's go with that. And let's hit print. See what happens. Now currently we're set at like 11.5, 8.5 by 11, I think for our size. No, 11 by 16, which we actually have more to work with, but hey. Goes. Okay. Something's happening.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm.
I wonder if it'll let me open this lid while I'm printing. Kind of want to see what's happening inside. Ooh, it does. Okay, so it's moving the carriage around a little bit. Looks like it's prepping. There it is, my film is going in. Ooh, it started right off the bat there. Nice. Oops. I forgot to set the ink order. Whoopsies. Just for funsies, we're gonna put it back in, the other side of it. Forgot to change our ink order. So let's go to queue, set ink order. There we go. So this is gonna be white and white and black. Perfect. Okay. Bring this guy back up in here and let's try that again using the correct colors. There it is. All right, that's looking better. And are we laying any white? There goes the white. I don't have anything laying down on the black. It's probably just a setting in Digital Factory, which is fine. I really just want to print something and kind of see how it looks. I'm anticipating the colors are not going to look great. Now, while this is printing, I'm going to give you a couple little helpful tips to make sure you get the best out of this machine, and that's going to be your environment. I don't care if you have a commercial printer or a converted printer. If your environment's not between 70 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit and 40 to 60% humidity, you're going to struggle with issues with your printer, especially a converted machine. So it's very, very important you keep your humidity at the right levels, your temperatures at the right levels. I actually have a video that I covered this humidity topic and the best way to get really, really great humidity in your space. You can check it out right over here. Okay, it's starting to come out. Now I know from like what I hear from people is that if it drops down, it's gonna scrape on stuff. So I'm gonna keep an eye on that. All right. Whoa, 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 hold there. Hold on there, chica. All right, so taking a look at this, so a couple things I see some banding in the white already, and that's because I'm not quite there. I purposely haven't been messing with my humidity. I am going to in a minute. Generally the colors look kind of dark and just unimpressive overall. That's the problem with using built-in print modes, is that they're not optimized for the ink and film and printer combination that you're using. So I'm going to build a custom print mode with ICC profile for the Epson ET-8550 Chroma ink and Quick Glide film. It's gonna be available for download on my website in the description below. Also, if you reach out to a DTF Station dealer, they will be able to get you access to that through DTF Station's Discord channels. But yeah, so I'm gonna build some print modes and I'll be back in a minute. Well, I said I'll be back in a little bit. The little bit turned into almost 2 weeks. So, here's what I learned. First, how did this thing survive the 2 weeks? I was gone for 6 days, home for a couple days, and then gone for like 3 days, and then home. And I had no one here to run this. I had no one here to do nozzle checks. When I came home from the really long trip, I was very, very worried it was not gonna be working. But because I have no agitation system, no external ink system, and there's no recirculation, I had to pick up the printer and shake it to agitate the white ink. Not ideal, but it worked. And then after a couple cleanings, I was able to get all the nozzles to come back. The CMYK nozzles were perfect every single time. So the only one I had any mild issues with was the white. So kudos to the Chroma ink on that. When it came to building the profile, it behaved very differently than the machines I'm accustomed to working with. So I almost had to like relearn how to build a profile with this machine, because it's about optimizing and balancing ink levels and all that kind of stuff. So I actually built out like 3 or 4 full profiles before I finally had a really good understanding of how to get the most out of this. And I gotta tell you, I'm really, really pleased with the profile that I've built that we have available in the description below. The grays are gray, they're not a pinkish, bluish gray. Our reds are a nice red, they're not orange. Blues are not purpley, all that kind of stuff. So I'm really, really happy with that print mode. And I've done a white underbase test to basically give a good default for the print mode. But if you want to download these graphics here, you can do your own test at home to optimize it for your shirts that you're wanting to use. Overall, so far, having worked on this for 2 weeks, my levels of anxiety when I'm not in my shop are a lot higher, because I've been worried about this thing failing on me before I actually built the profile and get the videos out. When I leave my regular DTF printer at home, I don't worry about it. So the fidelity of this is not quite as precise, like when it comes to details. So I probably wouldn't print like halftone graphics with this, because doesn't seem to be as precise and detailed as a i3200, i1600 based DTF printer, but it still works pretty good. And if you're just doing some fun, like bigger graphics like this, it'll look great. Next week, and if it's already been a week, you'll see the link up here, I'm gonna do a video on the full process, how to go from a digital file, a PNG on your computer, to a pressed shirt. So we're gonna go through that whole workflow with this system, and I'm gonna recommend some equipment beyond just the consumables that we've been talking about today, like the ink and the film and such. So make sure you check that out, and because this has survived pretty good so far, I think we're gonna get to go down that road of investigating some other options like an external waste ink tank or an external sys system, or I have an idea of how to do recirculation on this thing. So yeah. So stay tuned. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, hit them in the chat. We'll do our best to answer them. If you'd like some one-on-one consulting time, if you want to find out, hey, is this machine gonna be right for me, or is there something that might be better? I do offer consultation calls, and you can find those on my website as well. So thank you so much for watching this very long video. If you made it to the end, kudos on you. High five. Yeah, have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye.